When it comes to parking revenue, Camden is one of the highest earners. Last year, £40,000 in fines were handed out every day. Local builder Richard Chalmerton says he's been plagued by traffic wardens and unfair fines.
How many tickets?
There's probably as many as 800. I mean, the CEOs are giving out tickets, and I say that they're giving them out knowingly that they shouldn't.
One former civil enforcement officer worked in Camden for years. He says he was under constant pressure from his bosses to issue tickets.
They would sit you down and say you've not been meeting your targets. They would follow you and observe you in the field. It's the pressure from management for more PCNs.
More tickets?
Yes.
Those managers work for Britain's biggest parking enforcement company, NSL. They run on-street parking in London and across the UK. I've come to one of their areas, Ealing, to meet another civil enforcement officer who wants to tell me what's going on here.
The pressure on us, the CEOs, is coming from our managers. Day to day, less and less people are parking illegally, so sometimes you have to go out and issue a dodgy ticket.
Many people manipulate pocketbooks. Discussions that never happen suddenly materialise, and because the pocketbook is our witness, tendency is it's taken on board as evidence.
Staff in Ealing secretly recorded an NSL manager as he piled on the pressure.
It seems to be that the performance has gone down quite remarkably in the last sort of 2 months. Okay. As a result of that, the client is on our back all over me, like about the measles.
The guidelines which councils must adhere to are very clear. There can be no ticket targets. After months of investigation, we've got hold of Camden and Ealing's parking contracts with NSL. Under the heading of Year 1 target, the Camden contract sets out a PCN issue rate of 1.3 tickets an hour. The Ealing contract says the council expects 110,000 tickets to be given out a year. I showed these documents to a top litigation lawyer.
It's a clever exercise in legal semantics, and it's unlikely to pass the smell test before a court properly directed. If the contract contains the word target in all but name, if a court concludes, as a consequence of that, that the contract is unlawful, it has to be arguable that every ticket that has been issued pursuant to the placing of that contract and its implementation was itself unlawful.
We received these statements from Camden and Ealing councils.
Camden Council does not set targets for the number of penalty charge notices that are required to be issued. Camden also does not financially reward either our contractor NSL or civil enforcement officers for the number of penalty charge notices issued.
Our parking contract and practices are entirely lawful. We have never asked NSL to meet ticket quotas, nor do we pay incentives or impose penalties for the number of tickets issued.
Both councils point out that they use the numbers in the contracts to calculate staffing levels. And the company they both employ, NSL, said in a statement,
NSL is not contracted by any local authority to meet targets for PCNs issued. A ticket cannot be issued unless a contravention's occurred.
Ealing and Camden say that overall numbers of tickets being issued is coming down. Meanwhile, officers on the ground say meeting their targets is getting ever harder.